Just 22 miles off the coast of Los Angeles, you'll find a place that feels like it's a world away. Catalina Island is one of those rare destinations that manages to stay under the radar, even for people who live in Southern California. It's quiet, scenic, and carries that easy, old California charm that's getting harder and harder to find these days. Hi, I'm Tiffany from Destination for Vacation. Thanks for joining me. In this video, I'll show you why Catalina Island deserves a spot on any Southern California itinerary, whether you're visiting for the first time or finally exploring a treasure that's been in your backyard all along. Most visitors reach Catalina Island by ferry, and that short ride is part of what makes the trip feel like a real getaway. The island sits about an hour from California's mainland by boat, and there are multiple ferry options. You can catch one at Long Beach, Dana Point, or Newport Beach, but the main hub is the Port of Los Angeles and San Pedro. Another way many travelers experience Catalina is by cruise ship. The island's a popular stop on Pacific Coast itineraries, especially those departing from Los Angeles or Long Beach. If you've ever looked at a 3 or 4 night cruise along the California coast, chances are Catalina is one of the featured ports. The ships anchor offshore and passengers tender ashore for the day, giving you just enough time to sample the island's unique Mediterranean atmosphere. There's also an airport here, the Catalina Airport in the Sky, perched about 1,600 feet above sea level and surrounded by rugged hills. It's open to private planes and charter flights, but no big commercial airlines operate to or from the island. When people talk about visiting Catalina, they're usually referring to Avalon, the island's only incorporated city, which sits on the southeast side of Catalina Island. Officially, the island's name is Santa Catalina Island, a name given by Spanish explorers in the 1600s who named many of California's Channel Islands after saints. Over time, people simply shortened it to Catalina Island or Catalina, which is how it's most commonly referred to today. The moment you step off your ferry or tenderboat, you'll see why so many people fall in love with it. Avalon's small harbor is lined with colorful cottages, swaying palms, and a promenade that feels more European than American. A calm, walkable town that moves at its own pace. One of the things that makes Catalina so different from the mainland is how people get around. Instead of cars, most residents and visitors rely on golf carts. It's part of what keeps the island so peaceful. No traffic noise, no parking lots full of SUVs, just small electric carts quietly weaving through the hills and narrow streets. Renting a golf cart is one of the best ways to explore Avalon on your own. There are 2 options. Island rentals will be the first location you'll spot after a short walk from the ferry terminal. It's directly across the street from the small children's park. The second option is not quite a block away, at Catalina Island Golf Cart Rentals and Tours. The company rents carts by the hour. Consider going with 2. It's not that much more expensive, and it gives you time to stop, take photos, and enjoy the views without feeling rushed. The cost for my 2-hour rental was $130. Before you set off, they'll give you a map showing which roads you can drive on and which ones are off limits. It's a very easy process. Check-in and check-out were quick and friendly. Just know that you'll need to pay a cash deposit of $65. This part can't be paid by credit card. You can reserve online in advance, which is a good idea if you're visiting on a weekend, during summer, or when a cruise ship is in port. But even if you don't, you'll usually find some availability later in the day, provided you're willing to wait a while. The drive itself is half the fun. The route will take you into the hills overlooking Avalon Bay. Along the way, you'll find scenic overlooks that showcase the harbor and the sparkling Pacific beyond. It's a perspective of Catalina that you just can't get by walking around town. As you climb higher, you'll start to notice how much of the island's story circles back to one man, William Wrigley Jr., the chewing gum magnate whose brand became one of the best known in the world. Wrigley first visited Catalina Island in the early 1900s and quickly fell in love with its rugged beauty and quiet isolation. In 1919, he bought controlling interest in the island, with the goal of developing it as a resort that anyone could enjoy, not just the wealthy elite. He invested heavily in infrastructure, promoted conservation, and even brought his beloved Chicago Cubs here for spring training during the 1920s and 30s, turning the island into a seasonal home for the team. Soon, you'll pass by Mount Ada, the mansion he built for himself and his wife, Ada, perched high above Avalon Bay. The house was named in her honor and still commands one of the best views on the island. Today it operates as a charming inn. The road eventually leads to one of Catalina's true must-see spots, the Wrigley Memorial and Botanic Garden. Even if you're only visiting for the day, it's well worth setting aside time to come here. The memorial was commissioned by Ada Wrigley in 1933, just a year after her husband's death, as a tribute to the man who shaped so much of the island's history. Built from local materials, hand-quarried stone, native blue flagstone, and Catalina clay tiles, it feels deeply connected to the land around it. Two years later, in 1935, Ada began planting exotic succulents and cacti around the memorial, gradually transforming it into a private garden. Today, that garden spans 37 acres and serves as both a botanical collection and a living reminder of her dedication to the island. Every plant species known to be endemic to Catalina Island, meaning they grow here and nowhere else on Earth, is represented within its boundaries. From the terraces, you'll get sweeping views down the canyon toward Avalon Bay and out to the Pacific. It's the kind of place that encourages you to slow down, to take in the fragrance of sage, listen to the wind moving through the hills, and appreciate how intentional this island's preservation really is. Wrigley was originally interred here before his remains were later moved to Forest Lawn in Glendale, California. But the memorial and the surrounding gardens still reflect the spirit of what he and Ada built together. A place meant to preserve the island's natural beauty and share it with anyone willing to make the journey. As you make your way back down the hill toward Avalon, the drive continues to offer beautiful views of the ocean and the harbor below. Along the way, you'll pass a few interesting landmarks that highlight Catalina's past. One of them is the site of the old bird park, located across from the golf course on Avalon Canyon Road. Established by the Wrigleys, it opened in 1929. Spanning nearly 8 acres, it was considered the largest bird park in the world, home to around 8,000 birds representing hundreds of species from across the globe. The park even played a small role in Hollywood history. In 1939, sound engineers from MGM recorded the calls of Catalina's birds for The Wizard of Oz, later blending them to create the eerie background sounds of the witch's haunted forest. The park eventually closed in 1966, with many of its birds relocated to the newly opened Los Angeles Zoo. Today, the entrance gate and part of the original flight cage still stand, repurposed into a preschool, currently operating as Play. Nearby is the Nature Center at Avalon Canyon, which offers interpretive exhibits about the island's geology, wildlife, and history. And while you won't see them from your golf cart, Catalina is also home to a herd of North American bison. 14 were originally brought here in 1924 for the filming of a silent movie called The Vanishing American. When filming ended due to bankruptcy, the animals were left behind, and over the decades, they became part of the island's landscape. Today, anywhere from 150 to 200 bison call Catalina Island their home, and several inland tours offer visitors the chance to see them in their natural habitat. If you or a loved one hosts an elf during the holiday season, then you know that behind all that holiday magic, it takes more than a little planning and preparation for your elf to be able to pull off those crazy shenanigans. That's where the book Elf Antics comes in. Look, even Santa has helpers, so why not you? Get a 5-year plan of the most hilarious and heartwarming antics that have been kid-tested and approved. Color pictures, supply lists, and step-by-step instructions ensure there are no late-night surprises or next-day disappointments. And every idea has the busy parent in mind. Delight the kids you know by gifting their parent this book. Elf Antics by Mr. Elf Delphine. Buy it now through Amazon, Apple Books, or your local bookstore. Links to the book are provided in this video's show notes, or simply scan here for more information. Elf Antics is the holiday helper that busy parents will love. Now, back to our video. Before reaching town, you'll also pass the Catalina Island Country Club, which has a history far richer than its name might suggest. Built in 1921, it originally served as the clubhouse for the Chicago Cubs when William Wrigley Jr. brought his team here for spring training. The players practiced on the surrounding field, now the island's golf course, and the building still displays photos from that era. After returning your golf cart, take a little time to wander around Crescent Avenue, Avalon's lively waterfront promenade. This is the heart of the town, lined with palm trees, ocean breezes, and rows of cafes, boutiques, and ice cream shops. Back in the 1920s, William Wrigley Jr. decided to put the island's rich red clay deposits to use by founding the Catalina Tile Company in 1927. For about a decade, the factory produced beautiful hand-glazed tiles that helped give Avalon its colorful Mediterranean feel before the company ceased operations in 1937. You can still see some of those original tiles in the buildings along the promenade, as well as in 2 of the town's most recognizable fountains. The ornate Wrigley Fountain, built during the 1930s, and the simpler Sombrero Fountain. Just a few steps away, you'll spot the bright green pleasure pier stretching out into Avalon Bay, offering everything from glass-bottom boat rides to parasailing adventures. You can also grab a casual seafood lunch with unbeatable harbor views. Walk a little further and you'll find one of Avalon's most storied landmarks, the Tuna Club. Founded back in 1898, it's the oldest big-game fishing club in the world, and this weathered shingled building is now a National Historic Landmark. Some pretty famous names were members here: Zane Grey, Charlie Chaplin, even President Herbert Hoover. What really set the club apart, though, was its early commitment to conservation. Long before it was popular, members followed strict rules, using light tackle and careful limits to protect tuna and other game fish, encouraging sustainability over trophy hunting. The Tuna Club is still in operation as a private club today, so unfortunately, visitors can't go inside. Continue walking and you might hear soft, melodic sounds drifting through the air. They're not church bells, but the Catalina Chimes Tower, perched high on a hillside near the casino. Commissioned by Ada Wrigley in 1925, the tower was built to fill Avalon with a feeling of warmth and welcome. The Westminster chimes, crafted by Chicago's famed J.C. Deegan Company, still ring every hour, their notes floating down across the town's harbor. Each day, a caretaker winds the original mechanism by hand, keeping alive a sound that's been part of Avalon's rhythm for 100 years. At the far end of Crescent Avenue stands the island's most iconic landmark, the Catalina Casino. Despite its name, it's not a gambling hall, so no slots or table games here. The term casino comes from the Italian word for a gathering place. When construction began, this massive circular building replaced an earlier dance pavilion called the Sugarloaf Casino, which stood on a rocky outcrop known as Sugarloaf Point. Wrigley wanted a grander entertainment venue, so the huge rock formation was blasted away to make room for this new Art Deco masterpiece. In true Catalina fashion, nothing went to waste. The steel frame from the old Sugarloaf Casino was reused in the construction of Wrigley's Bird Park a year later. The new 12-story casino, which only has 2 floors, was nothing short of revolutionary when it opened in 1929, just months before the stock market crash. It cost a staggering $2 million to build and instantly became the crown jewel of Avalon. If the style of the casino's exterior murals looks familiar, that's because they were designed by John Gabriel Beckman, who's known for his work on the iconic Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. The casino's entry arcade features large Art Deco murals of underwater landscapes, kelp forests, swirling sea life, even a mermaid figure. Originally, the plan was to create the murals using Catalina tile, but that would have taken 2 years. And Beckman was only given 3 months to complete the project. So the murals were painted directly onto the concrete. After years of decay, restoration work began in the 1980s, with the mermaid mural restored in a similar Catalina tile style as was originally intended. Step inside the casino and you'll instantly feel like you've entered another era. Much of the casino's original interior was crafted right here on the island at the Catalina Furniture Factory, part of Wrigley's vision to make the project entirely homegrown. Skilled island craftsmen built the black walnut paneling, chairs, tables, and built-in furnishings that still grace the theater lobby and ballroom lounges today. Though the upholstery and wiring have been updated over the years, these original details remain, quiet reminders of the craftsmanship and care that helped define Avalon's golden age. When the casino opened, it was the pinnacle of modern entertainment. The Avalon Theater on the lower level seated 1,184 guests and was among the first theaters in the world designed specifically for talking pictures. Ironically, Wrigley himself wasn't much of a fan of talkies, having heard they weren't very good, but he insisted on equipping the theater with the most advanced sound system available. The result was so impressive that engineers later studied it when designing Radio City Music Hall in New York. In the 1920s and 30s, most gentlemen wore hats, and the architects took that into account. Beneath nearly every seat lies a small hat shelf, a hidden nod to the fashion of the day. Through the years, the upholstery has been replaced several times, but those little shelves remain as a quiet link to a more elegant era. The walls of the theater hold another secret. During World War II, Catalina Island became a military base, serving as both a lookout and a training site. After the war, surplus emergency supplies, everything from cots and blankets to first aid kits, were stored in metal drums hidden inside the casino's interior walls. They're still there today, sealed and waiting. Around it all shimmer the theater's famous murals, masterpieces of Art Deco design also completed by John Gabriel Beckman. The scenes celebrate Catalina Island and early California life, all beneath a ceiling twinkling with silver-leaf stars. Beckman's assistants even painted themselves into the work. Look left as you enter. 5 monks appear, 4 with the artist's faces, and the 5th, whose face is hidden, representing Beckman himself. In later years, Beckman would go on to work in Hollywood as a set designer on films like The Maltese Falcon and Casablanca. One of the theater's most treasured features is its original Page pipe organ, built in Ohio and shipped to the island in 1929. It's one of the last of its kind still in working order. Connecting the theater below to the grand ballroom above is a wide, gently sloped ramp, a clever design inspired by the ramps at Wrigley Field in Chicago. William Wrigley Jr. wanted guests to be able to move easily between floors without the congestion of stairways or elevators, especially when hundreds of moviegoers flowed upstairs for an evening of dancing. At the top of the ramp, you'll come across a small museum exhibit that chronicles the casino's past. Vintage photographs, architectural drawings, and memorabilia from its 1930s heyday when people sailed over just to dance. Next door is the bar area, which was originally designed as a soda fountain. When Catalina Casino opened in 1929, alcohol was strictly prohibited. William Wrigley Jr. was a committed teetotaler and insisted on a dry venue. That changed in 1949 when the rules were relaxed. Step into the ballroom and you're in one of the great dance spaces of the West Coast. Its star is the dance floor, the largest circular ballroom floor in the world at the time. Built from 7 types of precious hardwood and floated on a layer of cork, a design that muffled the sound of dancing feet so moviegoers below could enjoy the show undisturbed. Hanging above is the ballroom's impressive Art Deco light fixture, which includes a rotating feature that slowly throws light in different directions, creating a soft shimmer over the dancers below. Step outside the glass doors to the loggia, an open-air promenade. 14 feet wide and lined with graceful arches, it was inspired by Wrigley's visit to Spain. The loggia wraps around most of the casino's upper level and offers some of the most picturesque views on the island. This area just off the casino is part of a protected marine reserve, and it's one of the most popular spots for scuba diving in all of California because of its remarkably clear water. Look down and you might spot a line of divers making their way into the water from the stone steps at the base of the casino. This area is known for its towering kelp stalks that can grow over 100 feet tall. Bright orange Garibaldi fish dart through the leaves alongside schools of perch and the occasional curious sea lion. Exit the casino and follow the curve of the shoreline, where you'll come to the Descanso Beach Club. Today, it's open to everyone and a popular destination in the warmer months. The cove's calm waters make it ideal for swimming, as well as snorkeling and kayaking. As you make your way back to the ferry, keep an eye out for sea lions and dolphins in Avalon Bay. You might even see one of the descendants of Avalon's most beloved characters, Old Ben. The bronze statue honors a real California sea lion who became a local celebrity for about 25 years, starting in the 1890s. Old Ben would swim right up to Avalon's piers, posing for photos and greeting tourists, in exchange for fish scraps, of course. Catalina Island is a mix of nostalgia and tranquility that you rarely find anywhere else. The island feels timeless and quietly unforgettable. As you head home, take one last look at the casino's white dome glowing above the harbor. It's the perfect reminder of why Catalina and its quaint town Avalon continue to charm generation after generation. Thanks for watching. I hope you can join me again soon in one of these videos. Until then, here's hoping that your next adventure is just around the corner.